Hello and welcome to The Hero Spouse. I'm Kendra Ruth, here to answer one of your questions about marriage and midlife crisis. Today we have an anonymous female left behind and forward moving spouse. Her bomb drop is February 15th of 2022 and a date of marriage of 2015. She has an at-home MLCer who is a high energy replayer. She says, in late November, he asked me if I wanted to work on this shit, meaning our marriage. I said, yeah, do you? And he said he really didn't want our family torn apart, but there's been nothing since then. No pushes from me. I brought it up to my counselor, and she wants me to broach the subject with him soon, saying, hey, do you remember when you asked me and I said yes? I do. Do you? Then thank him for it and ask what he expects from me to be sure. I'm doing my part to be better for him. Now I'm thinking this would be a major push and too soon. What do you think? Some background. He still lives at home and he sleeps in a different room for the most part. There's no intimacy whatsoever. And there have been, or are, alienators. We still talk cordially, no arguments. He hasn't monstered overtly. I do agree with you about this being a push too soon, yes. One of the mistakes I was just going over, Bill Doherty, who is a doctoral level therapist and specializes in couples, and he has started a program for the last several years called a new method of counseling called discernment counseling. And it is a brief counseling of several sessions meant to work with couples where they call a mixed agenda, where one wants in, one wants out, where instead of couples therapy, they do discernment counseling. And he said one of the mistakes they make is pursuing the leaning out spouse, in this case, the MLC spouse. And that's a little bit what that is requesting you do. And it's a standard mistake made, pursuing the leaning out spouse. At the same time, I don't think it's always the wrong thing to ask, but we often, asking questions can be dangerous and not dangerous. We need to look and see when the situation brings it to make it natural. Is it an organic part of a topic of conversation? Can you steer the conversation so that he kind of brings it in and thinks he's initiating this? But in general, I don't think you need to bring it up. I would just sit back and wait a while. And if it does, if the situation does present itself, have it in your back pocket. Have a script. And the script should be like 1 to 2 lines. I don't mean a whole paragraph of anything. Have a script of questions. And when I say questions, you ask one of them, but the same same question or topic idea in different forms, because maybe it'll present itself and this is the best phrasing. But in a different presentation where it presents itself, the opportunity, this is a better phrasing. So have a couple different ways that you could bring up the topic. And then just keep it there. And if it arises, when you do it, do a few things with it first. You start with a reassurance. When we have difficult conversations, like we know we're going to vent at them, just go in bitch mode, but it's controlled because we know ahead of time, we start with, or we're going to say something challenging, a truth dart, start with a reassurance. You know, I always cared for you. I have always loved you, and I always will. I am here for you. That's your reassurance. An example. Now, this isn't necessarily something that's challenging, but I still want there to be a positive before bookend to it. Then you bring up the topic, whether it's in question form or if you can bring it out of question form. And then if you can bookend it again with another reassurance of, I believe in you and I believe in us. It's okay if we don't do anything with us right now. And what I want you to think about is one of the topics and one of the techniques I use is I take my marriage and I put it on a shelf. I put it in a box and it's protected. And I told Chuck this. I said, you know what? You're not ready to work on our marriage yet. I get it. It's okay. I have taken our marriage and I have put it in a box where it's protected. That's protected so that you aren't going to damage it. I'm not letting you hurt my marriage. I'm not going to let you hurt and damage the way I feel about you. And that is on a box. And when the time is right, we can take it down together and open the box. But until that time, I'm not letting you hurt it. And I want you to feel safe with that. That doesn't mean that the MLCer is allowed to go out and do these sins. But it gives them space that you're not going to take it personally. You're not allowing them to do stuff. You just can't stop them from doing stuff. And there are going to be consequences for their actions. But one of the things that isn't a consequence or doesn't have to be is that I'm not going to demonize you in our marriage. I'm going to protect it. And so that can be a reassurance. If I did have one of those conversations of, do you want to talk about our relationship now, or let's talk about this, I also added as a reassurance, it's okay if the answer is no. It's okay if the answer is I'm not ready right now. It's okay if you say, I just don't have the time, can we do this tomorrow? All of that is okay. I'm just asking you now so that it's out there. So work on how to create that and then just keep it in your back pocket right now. Because yeah, you're right. It's a push. It's too soon. And your counselor is doing something. It's not right or wrong. It's what counselors do. And not probably being aware she's pursuing the distancing partner, and that is going to often create more resistance. Okay. Other than that, I think you're in a midlife crisis situation. It's pretty normal. I just want you to keep that understanding of we don't pursue them. You work on yourself, and you're doing a great job, it sounds like, because you understand a little bit more than your counselor does, which is kind of normal sometimes. I hope this is helpful, and I'll see everybody in the next question.